Here we go. So it's Paige Figi. It's a non-medical life. Paige, thanks so much for your time as always.
Yeah. Thank you, Seth.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about hippotherapy. And so let's just go ahead and tie the nice bow of how we get from cannabis to hippotherapy. You just said it before we started recording. I'll steal your thunder in saying, well, she wouldn't even be able to do this if it wasn't for cannabis. So
yeah, Charlotte. So marijuana and horses. Yeah, it is kind of a weird little gap to bridge. But yeah, so Charlotte's, the best therapies we've done are the non-conventional things for her, and it haven't been medical. So her life is non-medical these days for 8 years, 8.5 years now. And so this is just one of those other things. The horses, she rides horses, and it's incredible to watch this and witness this change in her life. And she uses cannabis as therapy, and only cannabis. And it's been a miracle to watch how these two things that were never be mentioned by a hospital or a doctor have been the most impactful on her.
All right. I was going to say, you always hear when talking about Dravet syndrome, cannabis, and then also hippotherapy. No, you hear about doctors and you hear about pharmaceuticals and you hear about this and that. How long ago did you start hippotherapy with Charlotte?
Oh, she started when she was very little, maybe like two years old, I think. And it's interesting. It sounds kind of like this odd. I don't know what do horses have anything to do with these special needs, but it's just so many facets to the animals, and even just like therapy dogs and that sort of thing. These little kids, when they're very, very little, are now accessing this, when it used to sort of be an adult disability, having an animal to help a person. But we started very, very young. She was very little. Maybe she was 1.5, I think.
All right. So we can talk about how hippodromes is where you can store your horses, which is why hippotherapy is what it's called. I don't understand why it wouldn't be called equestrian therapy, for instance.
Yeah. And they have equestrian therapy, which is different.
Oh, it's different than this.
Yeah.
So how did you first find out about it? And what specifically was the deliverable that you first started to experience?
So I found out about it because I'm just sort of like this, I don't know, I ask questions, I dig deeper. And when I saw what she had and what she was going to have for the rest of her life, when we were diagnosed and I saw the prognosis of Dravet syndrome, I got actively involved in like, okay, this isn't looking good. What can let's just throw everything at it. Not all at once, but let's throw things at it methodically and see what helps. So I started digging around. I live in Colorado. And it's kind of common out here. We have a lot of open spaces. We have a lot of equestrian communities. And so I just started looking and of course it's, there's like 6-year wait list to get on the equine, these people's list for hippotherapy. And it's very hard to become a hippotherapist and keep that license. And so like I tend to do, I took it in my own hands and I found a woman who had let her license lapse, and all she was doing was kind of rescuing throwaway horses, but she was still riding. So it was like one of those off the books kind of like, don't get hurt, don't sue me, and you can come ride these horses that are amazing. And they were all, the interesting thing was they were all throwaways. They were all, rescues, and no one wanted them. And they ended up being the most incredible therapy animals. So we started riding way out in the, East Colorado on this woman's horses once a week. And it was amazing. Charlotte was, there's a bond that happens with people and animals, and you can't force it and you can't understand it, you can't measure it, but you can watch it happen. And it has nothing to do with me. It was just Charlotte and this animal, and the animal's response to her, Charlotte's response to the animals. So it's things like physical therapy, so it helps her tone. She has low tone. She's floppy. It helps her sleep. She would get kind of worn out on the horse, and she's working muscles she's never worked before. It's helping her walk. And then we do speech therapy while she was riding on the horse. We would get her talking, and she would talk to the horse, and they'd communicate with each other. It was fascinating to see all this done in just 1 to 2 hours. Just hitting so many birds with one stone. It would help her seizures. When she has a seizure on the horse, a good horse, a hippotherapy horse who's connected with the person, the kid, the horse would stop. They feel everything. They listen to your heartbeat. They hear your breathing. They're very in tune with you. And we ride bareback. So she would just be sitting on the horse and they feel each other's physical motion. And it was fascinating to see this. So naturally, it's been something I wanted to pursue for her life. It was beneficial.
Amazing. And was this immediate? Did it take a little bit of time to kind of get into a rhythm?
It took a while. She's not an animal lover. She's not, we bought a dog. We hired people to help us train it, and we bought a service dog, and she could care less about dogs. So it was, if you have a child that wants a dog and is eager to learn how to work with the animal, that's just so important. But Charlotte is not excited about animals. So it took a while to get her used to like going there and what is this, like what I'm supposed to ride on this horse. So it's hard. It was sort of a little bit forced, but it was still worth it.
All right. And so now it's been quite some time, right? How many years?
Yeah, it's been quite some time, and we've taken breaks. We go on and off and on and off, and I'm still on waiting lists for other therapy centers. And again, I just said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do this myself. I'm clearing trees. We're building a barn, and we're buying little throwaway rescue horses, and we're going to train them. And I have a guy who's a hippotherapist, and I have people that want to get involved, and I would like to have people come and experience this too with us. So I'm trying to just kind of like build this whole new thing, because I don't understand why things take so long. I mean, years go by. She could have been dead by now. We have to wait years and years and years to do this. We can just do it ourselves. So I'm just going to do it myself the way I want to do it, and invite people to share that with her.
Yeah, this is what we have come to realize from you is that once you do the thing, then you invite everybody else. And so we have the term medical refugee in part because you just started inviting people to your house.
Well, anyone would do the same thing. If you see something, you say something. If you see something happening, you want to share that. It isn't enough to just have a success. You want everyone to succeed and feel that same thing. And so of course this will be something that'll be shared with everybody. But we have to get the horses safe, and we don't want any broken necks. Like the zip line I built, we have a zip line in our yard, and every time we have a bonfire, people come and break bones. And I know you have can we see your hand?
Yeah, sure. It's
Seth has a broken finger right now.
Yeah.
So people come to our parties and someone breaks something. There's always an ambulance here, and I don't want this to be one of those situations. So we're going to get the horses kind of bomb-proof before we invite everybody here.
Right. And I think what your point is if we're talking about, these adults that are in charge of themselves, and you have a zip line, have at it, enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
If we're talking about kids that we're actually trying to help, we're going to go ahead and get some guardrails in there.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
We don't invite adults here to drink to help them. That's not what we're, I think that's understood. We're not trying to help anybody.
Yeah. You're talking about when your friends come over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one gets helped here after 9:00 at night.
I will say this, I just read an article, not to go too far adrift, but some of the communities that experience the most longevity, there's a lot to it. A plant-based diet, at least in part, if not mostly a plant-based diet, sleep, some sort of meditation and or ritual and or kind of spirituality, and spending time with lifelong friends is on that list.
And community, and then best if they're in your community, and not that there's anything wrong with this, but best that they're physical. You have physical contact with people who live nearby. And so I agree. Everything but the sleep. I agree that we need the sleep, but everything but the sleep I ticked off my list, I think. So
got it.
I don't sleep very much.
You still need to sleep more. The coffee in your hand is probably not helping that. Right, exactly.
Right.
Wonderful. All right, so we will track this project that you've got going on over the next few months, so we can see this thing come to life. As always, it's a pleasure, Paige, whether we're recording or not. So appreciate it, and can't wait for next time.
All right, thanks, Seth. Heal up.